Step 1, understanding willpower. Imagine your 4-year-old self being escorted into a room, an empty room, by a stranger, told to sit down and just look at their bag of sweets. And they pull out a marshmallow. They tell you that you can have this marshmallow right now, or if you wait around 15 minutes, you can have 2 marshmallows. This is the marshmallow experiment, and it's a wonderful test of willpower. So now you're hit with this debate. Okay, do I take the instant gratification, the singular marshmallow right now, or do I wait this 15 minutes and get the 2? Logically, it makes sense to wait for the 2 marshmallows, but of course, many little fat kids weren't able to. If you put younger me, traumatized, abused, younger Hamza into that room, the researcher wouldn't have even been able to finish his sentence. Now, Hamza, you can have the 1 marshmallow. It seems like a simple, insignificant test, but the results were actually quite scary. The kids who weren't able to delay gratification, so the kids who just grabbed the first marshmallow and ate it, they weren't even able to wait 15 minutes. They statistically performed worse in so many different metrics. They had a higher BMI, so they were literally fatter. They scored on average 210 points less on the college admission SATs compared to the highest, like sort of the most patient peers that they had. The ones who were unable to delay gratification were even rated as being like less socially desirable and more lonely when they were teenagers. Imagine having that kind of disadvantaged life just set in the trajectory of your future, being 2 or 3 or 4 years old just because you had a low level of willpower. Willpower is the skill of resisting desires. Now, we desire all kinds of things. We desire the junk food, porn, video games. These are things that you already knew. But in the later part of this full guide, I'm also going to speak about higher level desires. I'm going to speak about the things that this materialistic modern world put onto us, which seem productive, but in fact are as destructive, if not even more destructive than these lower level ones. At this level, we're thinking about porn and video games, but at the higher level, it's more like working too hard, being too ambitious, making too much money, building too much muscle. For many shallow breathers, their like small brain won't be able to comprehend how that is a problem. I'm assuming you're someone who's a bit more intelligent, and I can open up your mind to consider that the path that has been laid out in front of you of this overachiever, great grades, great body might not actually be the one that leads you to the fulfillment that you desire. Along with that, in this full guide, I'm also going to walk you through the greatest realization I've had in my life so far. I don't exaggerate when I say that. I think that we might be able to save decades of our life with something I'm going to be teaching you at the later ends of this full guide. So we're understanding that willpower is super important. For now, I want you to think about your long-term goals. Chances are you want to be successful, wealthy, happy, loving. To achieve those long-term goals, really the most important skill out there is willpower. Because on the way to the dream life, there's going to be countless distractions, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of little desires that pop up that take you away from the goal, the task, the trajectory of your dream life. You wanted to build a physique, and there's a million desires for sugar and for junk food and for skipping days off the gym. You want to have a loving relationship with a beautiful feminine woman, but there's a million desires to cheat on her. So there's something interesting that you can do. Think about a fairly smart guy you know, maybe a little bit nerdy. There's like one guy you might remember from school. And he was quite intelligent, he performed pretty well, and he's probably going to end up getting like a pretty good job, and he's going to have a pretty good life. And then, one late night, he has a random hookup with some girl he's just met. It's not really like him, if we're being honest, he doesn't get laid that often. But this one time, a girl that he messaged on a dating app actually agreed to meet him at nighttime, and they ended up having sex. And he didn't use protection. And he got her pregnant. This guy who actually had a wonderful life ahead of him, was going to be making above average income, going to be living in this great house and, achieve the sort of middle class dream that he wanted. Suddenly he has to pay $1,250 a month, every single month, for child support for a child that he's not even raising. If you think about that very realistically, his life is changed forever because of this one moment. Willpower would have saved him. And this isn't for this random high school student that you know. This is for every man, especially the top tier men, the athletes, the businessmen, the guys who are working super hard. Because it's these guys who get trapped by their desires and impulses. It's the athlete who's been grinding super hard, who's disciplined, who ends up getting some random girl pregnant. It's the businessman who marries the wrong woman, gets divorced and loses half of his stuff. It's the guy who's disciplined, who's going to the gym every single day, progressively overloading, tracking his macros, building the most perfect physique, who gets into an argument with a random guy in the gym and punches him. And now he's in jail for the next 6 to 12 months and his life is changed forever. It is willpower that will genuinely save you months or years or decades of your life. So this is a skill to take seriously. Think about how much potential has been robbed off the world because we were unable to control our desires. And now I want you to actually feel quite great about yourself because you are part of this enlightened group that's studying a concept like this. No matter how smart that kid was that we're thinking about in high school, he wasn't smart enough to be sat here literally with humility thinking, I'm going to learn about the skill of willpower because I know for a fact that there's going to be desires that arise and I want to have the skill of resisting them. This is some high level, some extremely powerful stuff you're doing here. You're learning such a powerful skill. You're spending your time sat here focused. Hopefully you've got the video in full screen because that'll help you focus even more compared to the friends that you know, the little Jeffrey shallow breathers who are literally, what are they doing right now? If you could almost see in a third, like sort of person perspective, like a bird's eye view of the houses around your area, what are the people that you know doing right now? One guy's laying in bed, the other one's scrolling on his phone, and here you are actually watching a guide on willpower, so props to you.